Hello, hello, hello. My name is Mitch Stephen, and I've been investing in real estate for over 2 decades. I have 2,000 houses under my belt and a lot of broken noses. So today's episode on how to invest in real estate, we're going to talk about what I offer my private lenders and why what I'm doing works perfectly for both my private lenders and myself. All right, thank you for joining us today. I want to talk about private money and what I offer my private lenders. And probably one of the biggest questions is, if you're so bankable, Mitch, why do you need private money? If you have this great reputation and this great business, why don't you just go to banks? We're going to answer that question. Number 2, what is my promise to my private lenders, all of them? And why is that promise such that it will never be broken? All right, before we answer those questions, stick with me. If you go all the way to the end, I have a free gift for you, and you are going to love it. It has everything to do with private money, and it's going to help you. In my travels, it has not been unusual for someone to question me. I'm out there looking for private money, and they look right at me and look right in my eyes, and they say, "Why do you need private money? Are you not bankable?" And what they're saying is, are you somehow broken, Mitch? Do you have bad credit? Why don't you just go to a bank if you're such a great businessman and have all this track record? And it's an honest question, and I understand why they would ask that. But there's an answer. For number 1, I am bankable, and I can go to a bank. I owe millions to banks right now. But the reason I use private money is number 1, for speed. I use it for speed. Banks like to loan money on things that are pretty and cash flowing and everything's hunky-dory and fine. That's not the world I live in. I buy crap. I buy broken stuff. I buy houses that are leaning a little bit to the left and the roof has a hole in it. Banks don't like to loan on crap. I buy crap, I polish it up, and then I go to the banks and get the loans, replacing my private money with long-term, cheaper money. That's the number 1 reason. Number 2 is, in a recession, the banks are going to close. And that means I will be out of business if all I do is deal with banks. I have worked very hard in my life to make sure I have a balance of bank money and private money, so that in any time during the economy, I have a place to go. Right now, times are good. I can go private money or I can go banks. But as soon as there's a recession, and we saw a little bit of it in the COVID pandemic, the banks started getting tight. They started clamming up. They're afraid. They stopped moving. They stopped loaning. I still had my bucket of private lenders over here, and my business did not stop. It's very important not to put all your eggs into one basket when you're talking about where you're going to get the funds to buy these houses. Now, private money is more expensive than bank money. For example, I might pay 8, 9, 10% to a private lender. Banks, I could go get 6% fixed 15 years. But there's a catch to that too. All my money from private lenders is collateral-only, non-recourse loan. Now, what does that mean? When I'm borrowing money from my neighbor across the street, it's a collateral-only deal. In essence, I'm saying, I'm either going to pay you as agreed, or I'm going to give you this house. And if you don't like this house in lieu of the amount of money you're loaning, then don't do this deal. Now, we're going to talk about more about the relationship between the loan and the value of the house and why people want to do it. But right now, let's stick with this point. Collateral-only, non-recourse. There's a reason why I sleep very well at night with $26 million in debt hanging over my head. Is if there is a catastrophe, my responsibility to fulfill my agreements is to walk the deeds over to all my private lenders and give them their collateral. There's a reason why private lenders earn 8, 9, and 10%, and even more sometimes. It's because they're sharing in the catastrophic upside risk. You know, when someone pays you a high interest rate, it's probably a higher risk loan. You know, you don't get a whole bunch of money for no risk. When you want zero risk, you can go right down to your bank and get zero risk. They're paying you 1%. You can get 1% all day long if you want zero risk because they're FDIC insured, you know. Well, 1% doesn't even keep up with inflation. We figure inflation's at least 3%. I mean, you just have to go down and buy a loaf of bread and a steak down at the grocery store and you know that inflation's over 1%. So that's one of the reasons. It's a fine line. It's a balance between cheap money, sign your name, personally guarantee. If you fail on this loan, they'll take everything you have, even if it's not related to that loan, because you're signing personally everything you own in your life, okay? On the other hand, you can borrow $26 million and it's a collateral-only loan. Worst things that are going to happen to the lender is they're going to get my house. Worst thing that's going to happen to me is I'll have to give my houses to them. But they can't wreck my name, they can't wreck my credit, and they can't take anything else I have that I've bought over the years, like my storage facilities or my truck parking facilities or any of that stuff. It's all separate. It has nothing to do with the loan that they made to me. The loans from private lenders are collateral only, non-recourse loans. And I'm willing to pay 8 or 9 or 10% for that kind of peace of mind. So again, let's review. What is my promise to my private lenders? My promise is that I'll either pay as agreed, and if for any reason in the world I just couldn't do that, then I will walk the deed to this property over to you. My promise is that you won't have to sue me for it. If I can't pay, I'll just give it to you. You won't have to chase me down the street or get a lawyer to hire. Fair enough, right? I'll pay you. If something happens catastrophic and I can't pay, I'll walk the collateral over to you. I'll give it to you. Whatever my position in the property is, I will give it to my private lender. Now, I hate talking about this stuff because I've never given a house to a private lender in my life. I've never been foreclosed on. I've never defaulted on a loan. I've never filed Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 or Chapter 11 or Chapter anything. I have never missed, knock on wood, so far in my career. But we have to talk about what if the worst thing happens. I mean, let's think about it. Was COVID-19 on anybody's radar like 6 months ago, 8 months ago? No. It came out of the blue. A catastrophic event for some people. Just so happens my business booms during chaos, and COVID and pandemic are the same thing. I'm booming, but not all businesses did that. We have to plan for the worst, and we have to talk about the worst. All right, I'm going to wrap up part 1 right now. Part 2, I'm going to go ahead and finish up with what are my rates and terms, and what am I offering my private lenders that's so interesting to them that they keep loaning me money. And then I'm going to talk to you about why these lenders are so comfortable with me. You know, there's a reason why I get signatures every day from people wanting to loan me money. And I'm going to talk about that relationship between risk and reward and what makes them comfortable. Also, I promised you a free gift at the beginning of part 1 of this episode. So please go to 1000houses.com, and there on the home page you can scroll down, and I'm going to post up a free webinar just for you that says private money. Private money will change your life. It'll change your whole investing career if you learn how to do it right. This webinar is focusing on helping you come to the conclusion that you can get private money and how to do it. So check it out, 1000houses.com. Just scroll down the homepage on the free stuff section till you find a webinar about private money.